Yo, back again, the BeBall Jones podcast with Nelson Haskin. Um, this is a very entertaining episode and a very interesting one to say the least. Because in this episode, we are going to be just kind of reviewing over the conference finals and previewing for the NBA finals. So at the time we're recording this, we just found out that the Bucks have won the Eastern Conference Finals and headed to the NBA Finals. They'll be matched up against the Phoenix Suns from the West Coast. And this is a very interesting final to say the least. But before we get into it, man, how you feeling, Nelson? Everything good?
Everything is great, Brian. Everything is great. My boy in the finals, he ain't healthy right now, which is okay. I feel like he'll bounce back before the finals is over. But everything is good, man. You're gonna hear from me.
Yeah. So we're going to get into it, kind of review the Western Conference Finals and talk about how the Suns and Clippers shaped out to be. Um, that was a very interesting matchup on a lot of ends because we saw, of course, this is like the tale of the whole playoffs of seeing the star players go down and get hurt. As we saw Kawhi not really play much, or did he play at all? Conference Finals? I know they could play game one, I think.
No, he got hurt in the second round,
So yeah,
but they pulled it out anyway.
he didn't play any this
No.
whole series, which is very interesting to see. So it was a chance to see Paul George redeem himself and, get some of that glory back that he's been fighting for at least 3 years now, but probably 4 years, trying to get that name back. We saw Devin Booker, get a chance to prove himself and build his legacy as he's growing. I think he's 24, 25 now, so he's building his legacy in his career. You've seen CP3 come back from an injury again, which was a whole thing in itself with CP3 and his injuries. Reggie Jackson come out and do his thing and ball out for the Clippers. Him basically saving the team for real.
Honestly.
If we really be honest, he really saved that team for real. So just kind of want to get your thoughts on that, man. So how do you feel about that series and how it planned out and everything?
Well, just to be honest, the Phoenix Suns are the healthiest team in the league. And that played a huge role, obviously, because not to knock what they've done because they still play great basketball, but they're definitely the healthiest team. Every team they beat have been hobbled by injuries. The first round, they beat the Lakers without AD. The second round, they beat the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. And then they beat the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. And so it still was tough because those teams are still great without them. Like the Lakers still had LeBron, even though he was kind of hobbled. And then the Nuggets still got the MVP, Nikola Jokic, but they swept them. So that still showed what they could do. Yep. And then they played the Clippers and beat them, even though Paul George and Reggie Jackson were playing out their mind. So they still did great things. But the healthiest team in the league is making it to the finals.
Yeah, and I saw somebody try to kind of clown the Suns on it, saying they got lucky and they caught a break. But it's like Chris Paul got hurt too. Devin Booker busted his nose. So, you can't really take that away from him. It's just like you got to play with the cards you dealt. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to pull that card, and you can say that about every single team, every single year gets lucky some kind of way. They got matched up, got a lucky matchup in a playoffs that helped them get through. Clippers missed out last year going to the Western Conference Finals. That was the matchup we were looking for with the Lakers. So Lakers then probably play their biggest competition probably in them. So it's like the Lakers get lucky last year because they had the bubble and everything. Did the Raptors get lucky year before that because KD and Clay got hurt? Did the Warriors get lucky a year before that because this happened? They get lucky the year before that because Kyrie and Kevin Love, you know what I mean? You can go every single year and say injuries played a role or this played a role over here. So it's like, I hate when people try to knock that because it's like, you can do that. You can go pretty much every single year and I can take away a win from your team because this happened. So all credit to the Suns, like you said, they did what they had to do. Like they didn't go out and say, "Oh, we're playing LeBron, so let's just go through it how we're gonna go through it." They ain't got 80, so we all right. They swept the MVP and the Nuggets. That's even more credible. Not the fact that they beat them, but they swept them. That's a hard thing to do. And they faced off against the Clippers and did the thing against them with Reggie Jackson playing stupid. So it's like people try to knock that and take away from them, but it's like you can't do that, man. So I think that's a very impressive and important thing to look at too, because it's like Chris Paul needs that for his legacy. Like we talked about before, the other episodes, like what that impact do for his legacy. And this is a needed thing for him. So I give a lot of credit to the Suns because they did what they were supposed to do. And my MVP, who I picked for the regular season, is going to the final. So I'm happy with that. So that's my guy, the point guard. So that's it for me, man. Anything else you want to add on that?
I just wanted to say, you're completely right. The Suns had their fair share of injuries too. Their players were just able to bounce back. It's just one of them years, like there's so many injuries there this year. And so they were still the healthiest team. Yeah. And that's how they come out on top. So, but congratulations to them, all credit to them. But we'll see, like, the Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo, and so hopefully he bounces back. But if not, then they probably gonna take this one by being the healthiest team. So it just come down to that at this point.
Yeah, and I forgot about Cam Payne got hurt too. Cameron Payne got hurt. Game 4, I think. He hurt his ankle. So it's injuries, man. Yeah, it's part of the game, man. So, but like you said, they're the healthiest team. Like it's just about every single team. I don't think we've seen any team not have a major injury at any series, any point in these playoffs. Maybe the first round. Actually. Maybe the first round you had a team or two that lost. They didn't have, like, I don't think the Knicks have any major injuries. I doubt it. So it's like pretty much every team had a major injury. They had their main player or second guy, maybe third guy get hurt. And it's like every team has had that now. So just credit to the Suns for handling their business anyway, man. So I'm gonna let you handle the Eastern Conference, man. Because I know that's what you want to do. So have at it, bro. Hey, it's all you.
Here we go. Giannis Antetokounmpo, aka the Greek Freak, aka that man, in the finals for the first time in his young career with the Milwaukee Bucks. And I just gotta say, you can say what you want. You can say anything you want about that man. You can say he got no skill. You can say he got no bag. You can say any of that. And that may be true to a certain extent. But all I got to say is put out the best player in the world, 40-13, or who we call the best player now, and Kevin Durant, and with LeBron out the playoffs. You know how that go. Whenever LeBron ain't in the playoffs no more, we start talking about somebody else, the best player in the world.
Yep.
But put out the supposed best player in the world, 40-13, 60% shooting. Like, no skill though. No, none of that. We ain't got no skill though. Then play the Atlanta Hawks, who've been playing on fire. Like, on fire. Like, they've been playing great basketball, not doing nothing special really, just been playing good, shooting well, and being folks by that. And so they playing a hot team in the Hawks. And then, my boy goes down, obviously, with a hyperextended knee. But for once, he has a team that can step up in these times, because we all know Chris Middleton been his number 2 the past few years, but we've never been able to depend on Chris Middleton every game like that. He's always been super inconsistent. One game might give you 30, and the next game he might give you like 15. He had multiple games in these playoffs with single-digit points, or like 12 points, shooting like under 40%. And so that's just the thing, man. It's just they have a system set around him now, a team full of shooters, because they know he dominates the paint and can't go outside like that, so they can space the floor for him and like surrounding him with shooting that you can't double down every single time. And that allows him to get to the rim like he needs to. And not only that, I don't know if people have realized, but the fadeaway is going. Like, my man is posting up, shimmy, fadeaway, easy. Like, and it's going in consistently. It's not just I ain't got nowhere to go, I'm gonna just turn around, fade. It's like he trying to get to the fadeaway, and it's been money. And so I feel like, man, he just belonged there, man. And we passed that point now. I feel like once you get that berth into the finals, especially for the first time, that's where them criticisms start to fade away. Like, they still gonna talk about it, obviously, but at the end of the day, he in there. He made it over anybody, best player, favorite player. Because I don't know nobody who favorite player Chris Paul. I know you love Chris Paul, but ain't nobody talk about Chris Paul before this year like that. Like, everybody respected Chris, but Chris and Devin Booker was nobody's favorite player. But my favorite player, we out here. We in the finals. We still playing. And hopefully this knee, you feel me? Hopefully his knee get better. I think the first game ain't till Thursday, so he got a good amount of time to try to get back. But
it's Tuesday.
Tuesday?
It's the 6th.
Oh, today the 4th. Yeah, dang. It is Tuesday. Still. So game 1 Tuesday, I mean game 2 gonna be Thursday.
Yeah.
So he got time. If he missed game 1, that's all right. Hopefully he'll be back about game 2 and he can play somewhere like himself. Because they said he had no serious, he had no torn ligaments and nothing like that, just hyperextended his knee. And so hopefully he can bounce back. But hey, running and dunking get you 40 and 13, bro. And that's all I got to say. Running and dunking. You say what you want. Running and dunking, 40 and 13. 30 points a night. Like, he getting 30 a night. Every night. And it just really depends on the cast around him. So if they bring it every night, they fine, because he done brought it every game. And I don't want to hear nothing else about it. He done brought it. And he get a lot of disrespect. So y'all just don't make sure, y'all better hope you don't win the finals, because I'm gonna come on here and we gonna have to talk for real. But I'm proud of him at this point anyway. But you go ahead.
So congrats to the Bucks. You know, I might come off as a Giannis hater. I might come off like I dislike him in the Bucks. I don't. I really like Giannis. I hope he does win and succeed. I like him. I think he's a good guy. He busts his butt. He works hard. I respect him, man. Like, great dude. Great player. He's like, the way, like, 40 points with 60% shooting, like, everything he's doing is incredible. Like, he's a ridiculous guy. I'm gonna give him all his flowers. I do love him. So when I criticize him, it's because I see he can grow. When I criticize the Bucks, it's because they're not building around him. So I feel like right now he's in a spot where, like, 3 players were in my mind. So I'm gonna go a little bit old school with Shaq. Shaq always talks about how he was talked about being one of the greatest players, but they would never give him that next level because he never got to the finals. He never took that next step. So that's why I was telling you about Giannis. It's like, I'm not giving him his flowers yet. I'm not giving him that respect yet because he hasn't got to the finals. Same thing for all these other players. Like, Western Conference Finals is great. Eastern Conference Finals is great. Playoffs are great. That's cool. But to be in that upper echelon of players, the finals is what we go for. MVPs are cool. All these other titles and accolades stuff, that's cool. That's individual stuff. But when it comes down to a certain accolade, that certain threshold, like, you be in that conversation, you got to get to the finals. Like, you can't name, like, we always talk about this all the time. Any top tier player we talk about, finals wins, finals MVPs, regular season MVPs, at least finals appearance. Like, that's the thing. So he finally crossed that threshold to being in the finals. So just being in the finals put him over a conversation over a lot of players just off of that quickly. Same thing for Chris Paul, like we talked about before. Being in the finals put him in that threshold. And so that was the Shaq conversation at first. Then he finally started creeping into that LeBron conversation where it's like, yo, what more can you ask from me? Like you said, I'm giving you 30 every night. I'm giving you 40 every night. I'm giving you what I can every single night. And it's like, yo, my team got to add something to me too. LeBron had a decent squad around him. He had some very solid role players, but he didn't win until he got that superstar beside him. He didn't win until he had Dwayne Wade, which is arguably top 5 player in the game at that time, on his side. He didn't win again until he had Kyrie, which is top 10 player. Maybe he might have been top 10, top 15 at the time. Like best handles all time at the point, best finishing arguably all time at the point. Kevin Love was arguably the best power forward at the point in that time. Then win again to Anthony Davis, arguably top 5 player in the game or top 10, arguably the best power forward in the game. So it's like you always need that next level talent beside you too. I was thinking about this. Very few years has a team won the finals without 2 players being like, you're gonna have the best player or arguably the best player or top 5, top 3 player, and then another great top 5, top 10 player or great in the area. So like Steph Curry was arguably top 5, top 3 in the game, had Klay Thompson, the best shooter, arguably all time. So then you got LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love, like we just talked about. You got Steph Curry again with KD, another top 5, top 3 talent all time. Very few years in between will you get the Raptors who had Kawhi, and it's a gap. You have the Mavs, you have Dirk, and you have the gap. You go Hakeem in 94, 95, or 95, 96. You got Hakeem, and it's a gap. Pretty much every year besides that in the Pistons, 04 Pistons, but pretty much every year besides that, you have an elite top 5, top 10 player, and you have right beside them a top 5, top 10 player, or one of the greatest in a certain area.
Right.
But for Giannis to be in this position that he is, he's top 10 player easily. Like, that's not a debate. He's top 10, like, hands down. My problem is he doesn't have that next level. Like you said, Chris Middleton has not been consistent at all. He goes off for 30 next game, and he goes off for 30 next game. It's like, bro, you can't be my number 2. I can't have my number 2 doing that. That's impossible. I can't win doing that. So that was my knock against that. So Giannis can be dominant and be Shaq, carry us the first 3 quarters, give him a Kobe to close the game, that final quarter or half a quarter. That's supposed to be Chris Middleton. He never did that. Go ahead.
Man, and so let me tell you this. I'm glad you said that, because right after they beat the Nets, I want to say, or it was one game Chris Middleton hit a big shot, hit the game winner, like last second shot that won them the game. And Kendrick Perkins come out here talking about Chris Middleton is Batman and Giannis Antetokounmpo is Robin. And I'm like, how? In what way or what world is Chris Middleton the Batman to Giannis Antetokounmpo's Robin? Because if he talking about just like because he take the last shot, then that's one thing. But don't call him the Batman to his Robin, okay? Yeah. Because when you say Batman to his Robin, I think you saying, in my mind, you're saying Chris Middleton is number 1, Giannis is number 2. And that is not the truth at all. Because 40 and 13 and 20, and like if we just bring up any kind of averages, I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis averaged more in every statistical category than this man. Not just points, rebounds, assists, 2 blocks, steals, all that. How can we possibly sit here and say Chris Middleton is the Batman to his Robin? Now you can say, hey, Chris Middleton, Giannis is the best player, but Chris Middleton gonna take the last shot. I ain't gonna be mad at that because that's somewhat true. But in Giannis' defense, if I got Shaq and Kobe and I'm down 2, I'm probably gonna give the ball to Kobe. Like, I'm gonna give the ball to the guard. I'm not gonna feed it to the post. What? And if I know if I have a player that I know he's going to shoot a 2, especially if he got to get close to the rim, why would I give him the ball for the last shot? That's easier to stop than somebody getting the ball and just getting the bucket off the dribble.
Yeah.
That's just knowing your role. At that point, like, you a scorer. We need a bucket. Go get a bucket. Like, what are we talking about? And now we want to say Chris Middleton is the Batman to his Robin? Yeah. Because I never heard nobody say that D-Wade was not D-Wade. Kyrie was the Batman to LeBron's Robin just because Kyrie hit the game winner against Golden State. Nobody's ever said that. And like that's not the only time Kyrie's ever hit a big shot for them. Same thing can be said for Dwayne Wade when LeBron was there. Same thing can be said for Steph Curry when Kevin Durant was there. Nobody's ever like just because they take the last shot, no one's ever said the other star on the team or the bigger star on the team, I should say, was the Robin to his Batman just because he the one that hit the shot today. And I just think that's crazy. That is insane that he would even say that.
Yeah.
Like, just say Giannis is the best player, but Chris Middleton is the closer. I would feel better if he said that, honestly. But the Batman to his Robin, get out of here, man. Stop it. Stop this blasphemy, as my boy Stephen A. Smith would say. That's blasphemy to even say that. Because Chris then gave us 8 points this playoffs. He then gave us 13. He then gave us 15. There's been multiple games this man ain't show up.
Yeah.
And we talking about the Batman to his Robin?
Yeah.
Perk, I love you, Perk. Don't say that no more. Don't say that no more.
Yeah, I saw some of that on Twitter after Chris Middleton. We had 2 or 3 games in a row. We had like 30 to close out the Hawks.
Yeah.
After Giannis went down. So I saw him say that he should be number 1 option. I'm like, I get what he's saying, but I still disagree. Like, I understand that you're saying Chris Middleton is a better offensive weapon because he's more skilled, he can shoot. But like you just said, he's so inconsistent that I cannot make him my number 1 option. Like,
right.
I cannot make him number 1 option. I literally have no clue if you can give me my consistent 25 to 30 points that I need. Not that I want from you to have, but I need you to have. So like Kenny Smith says, he's like, superstars are going to give you, they're going to give you what they have 72 out of the 82 games in the regular season. So if they averaging 28, like Giannis, he averaged what? Like 28, 29, 13, and 5, I guess, just throwing numbers out there. He gonna give you that 72 games out of the 82 games of the year. Superstar talent. All-star talent is gonna give you, I think he said like 55 to 60, 55, 60% of the games or number of the games out of the 82, which is a little bit more than half. They're gonna give you the averages. So Chris Middleton is an all-star. If he's averaging 22, 6, and 4, that's what he's gonna average out of 50 to 60 games for you. So that's like almost half the games I cannot count on Chris Middleton to give me what I have, what I need. I can't make you my number 1 guy doing that. To go back to my LeBron point, like LeBron had nobody to count on to consistently give me anything extra. I love Larry Hughes, but he wasn't finna sit here and give you buckets like that. He was mainly a defender. Eric Snow was a pass-first point guard to set up the offense. Big Z, I love him, but he's not finna consistently. You can't consistently give them the ball like that. Anderson Varejao was a defender. Drew Gooden was good at his role. All these guys were great players and role players, but nobody was even close to LeBron's tier of players. LeBron, and it's like 2 steps down from everybody else he played with. And that's kind of what Giannis was. Like, everybody's great at their role. Brook Lopez is great at his role. He's going to give you 20 and 10. He can post up for you. He got that 3-ball late in his career. I love him. Going to give you defense down low, block shots, one-on-one defense a little bit. It's like, I like him. But I'm not going to make him my number 2. He's not good enough for that. And Drew came in the picture. Drew Holiday came in the picture. That's my guy. I love him.
Right.
But he's not aggressive enough to make him my number 2. He's not going to consistently give me, like I said, same thing, 20 to 25 to 30 points that I need every night, which I'm not mad at him about because he has to sit down and lock down. He had to defend Trey. Before that, he would have been guarding James Harden, Kyrie, and he guarded Steph Curry one night and Klay Thompson next play. And he has to defend Chris Paul this next round, probably Devin Booker too. So it's like he's giving me so much on the defensive end too, that I can't sit here and say, you got to give me 30 every single night, too.
I didn't put up stats. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because what they're not going to do is play my boy. Not no more. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I like Chris. I think Chris is a great player.
Yeah.
But they're messing up calling him the Batman to my boy Rob. So here we go. Chris Middleton has scored out of the 3 playoff series they won, which in total has been 17 games. They swept the Miami Heat. They went to 7 with the Nets. They went to 6 with the Hawks. And Chris played all those games. So 17 games. Chris has scored 30 points 3 times. 3 out of 17. Chris has scored less than 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times. So that means Chris got more games with less than 20 points than he does with 30 plus. And we talking about he the Batman to my boy Robin. This is just the playoffs now. This ain't talking about all season. This is the playoff run they just went on. Keep in mind now, Giannis done missed 2 games. Well, he got hurt. Yeah, he didn't miss 2 games and half of 1. Now let's go to Giannis. Giannis has scored 30 points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. 9 times. Out of 17 games, that's over half the games. He scored less than 20 twice. And one of them games he got hurt in the third quarter. He had 14. Twice. And we call him the Batman to his Robin, Brian.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, I just don't know, man. It's just, I don't know, man. What my boy got to do? What he got to do? He got to take the game-winning 3? Do we want that? Like, he my boy.
Yeah.
I can say that. We want him to take the game-winning 3 if we down 2?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. So it kind of leads me to my last little point about Giannis and his career. He's at the point, too, where it's like what Steph Curry was for a while before he won. Oh, you can't win. You can't win doing all the 3-point shooting, man. You got to play this way and that way. Oh, you can't win without skill. You need to have this, this, and that. You can't win without this. You need to have that. Steph Curry shot all that down. He won a ring shooting the 3-ball. He won the rings by playing his way. And I feel like Giannis was kind of in that discussion too, where he's like, okay, they saying you have to have a certain level of skill and a certain talent level to win, which I was in that boat too. It was like, which we kind of will talk about later on, either this episode or later episode, where it's like either Giannis had to get his skill up to be able to be a closer, or the Bucks had to get their stuff together and get him a closer to finish for him. One of those 2 things that the Bucks had to do: get Giannis in the gym and say, all right, develop a mid-range, get something consistent we can go to besides that Euro step and spin move. We love those 2. They're great. You know you got it. But half court, we need something, anything. Whether it's high post, mid post, a go-to move, the turnaround floater he's got now. It's like, give me something where I can give you the ball and say, hey, give me a bucket. Or perfectly fine. Sit over there, give me a pick and roll. Chris Middleton go one-on-one, or give me pick and roll with you 2. One of those 2 options had to happen. Get you a closer, whether it's Bradley Beal, whether it was Victor Oladipo, somebody that can close the game for you, whoever. And that's what my thing was. That's what my knock was against Giannis / the Bucks. One of those 2 had to happen. So they finally got to a point where Chris Middleton stepped up, because I didn't think he was going to be a number 2. I feel like after this year, he was going to be out of there. It's going to get him 2 new players, and it's going to be either Giannis is going to leave and go with another superstar, or the Bucks going to do everything they can to get another superstar in for him. So that's all I saw was going to happen. So he finally crossed that threshold by getting to the finals now, and not becoming a winner necessarily because he hasn't won the finals yet, but get into that next level conversation. So he's finally got to that point where, like Steph Curry was before he won. Like, you can't win doing it this way. It's like, yo, I'm in the finals now. Like, what more do you want from me? So that's just how I feel about Giannis and the Bucks. Salute to them, get into the finals. Kudos to them. Respect to Giannis. Like I said, I love him. He's a great dude. I'm a fan of him. Just wish that he could have, developed a little bit more in certain areas. So
that's another thing. I saw somebody say this that I had not even thought about. Because I'm like you feel me? He can work on his shooting, he can work on his ball handling and all that, or at least his post moves. He said Giannis playing, and it's like he's shooting with a volleyball. Like, that's how big his hands is compared to the ball. That's what he said. I saw somebody say it on social media. And so I never even thought about it like that because his hands is huge. And if you ever see him grip the ball, it really is like he holding a volleyball. Like this man will dribble the ball and catch it on the dribble with one hand. Like he don't have to put two hands on it. That's why he can drive like that. He just be dribbling, catch the ball, extend that arm, dunk it.
Yeah.
Like he never even had to put his other hand on the ball. And so that's a main reason why it's so hard for him to shoot. That's why his free throw shooting so bad. Like just like Shaq, his hands too big. It's like he trying to grip the ball and like put touch on it, but his hand covering the whole ball. It's hard to put touch on it. And so that's not making excuses for my boy, but like it's hard. It's hard for him than it is for somebody that's like a normal sized person. You know what I'm saying? And like KD, 7 foot tall, but if you look at the ball in KD hands, it still look normal.
Mm-hmm.
But Giannis' hands so big, and plus he's strong as all get out, so that makes it even harder. So there's a little bit of understanding to be had about why he can't shoot the way we want him to at this point. But like I said, the fadeaway going, the midi getting better. It ain't like go-to yet, but the midi's getting better. And next step, I really like for real. I could care less if he ever become a decent 3-point shooter. Let's work on these free throws. If we can make free throws, we'll be getting 40 every night because he's gonna miss about 6, 7 free throws every game. Sometimes 10 because they foul him that much.
Yeah.
That's my next thing. Hey, let's work on these free throws. Put up 100 a day before you leave the gym, whatever you got to do. So, but you go ahead. What's next?
So yeah, I feel what you were saying, but like you gotta think about this too. Kawhi Leonard's hands are huge.
That's true too.
Rondo's hands are huge. So it's like Rondo developed over time to where now he's almost a reliable 3-point threat. So it's kind of like I feel you, Giannis, but at the same time, it's different. And at the same time, he is like 7'1". Yeah. And then like you said about KD is 7'1", but his hands, like I think he said he couldn't pound the ball for a while. So that kind of held him back too. So like his hands aren't like matching his body. He has smaller hands than he has for his body. So it's like he's like on his body's low key kind of weird. Like he's 7'1", he's fully 7'1", but his hands aren't matching what a 7'1" guy would have. Right. And so it's just kind of weird how they shaped up. But it's like I feel like he is putting in work, man, but it's like he got to keep going with it. Like it's no excuse for him to stop working on it. Like he's a follower of Kobe, so it's like you can't be a follower of Kobe and not put in work like that. That's just those two don't match up. So credit to him, man. Like I feel like if the Bucks, what game was that? When then like Chris Middleton, like it was game 3 or 4. When everybody just went stupid. Like when I saw the game I saw from Giannis, that's what I was looking for. It had to be 3 or 4. But he was driving down, he make a mid-direction move, moving in mid-range, and he'll finish. The game where he spent and went like up and under almost.
Oh yes. The little fillet.
Yes, he's doing his thing, man. So Chris Middleton was in his bag, Drew was defending, like that's what I'm looking for them. And so that's what I look for in the Bucks. So salute to them, salute to the Suns, getting to the next round in the finals. That's it for part 1. Wrapping it up real quick. Now we're gonna get in part 2 with our finals preview, what we think the Suns and Bucks are gonna be doing. And that's it, man. So tune in for the next part, episode 2. Well, part 2 of the same episode. You know what I'm trying to say, part 2. So that's it.